Hello, I'm Herm Gailey. I am here with a 2-year-old filly named, we call Bunny. We got 2 of these young horses from the Open Box Rafter Ranch not quite 2 years ago. They were both young weanlings. If you followed the channel, you would have seen them arrive by transport, and you would have seen us work with them a bit during their yearling year. And they've really had sort of a hiatus from anything real active, because they've gotten to where all of the basics are in place, and it was time to just let them have their summer vacation, their sabbatical, before they go to work, getting started this fall. We'll start them under saddle lightly this fall, probably in October. Weather's cooler, they're fully 2-year-olds, and we don't ride them much as 2s, but we get on them, get them acclimated. So I'm gonna move her around, and we'll talk about her a little bit, talk about why I'm doing what I'm doing at this stage of her career, and just sort of put her through a little round pen lesson. And we'll talk about what I'm seeing in her, and I'm very interested in what you see in her. I was planning on doing a mirror image with her 3/4 or half sister, but she bruised her foot out in the pasture, and she's gonna be off for a little while till she gets over that. So I figured, well, I'll get Bunny out and we'll put her through these paces. So first thing you want to do is watch them just move around a bit. I'll just start her off to the right here. And when they will do it for me, I like to start them off at a walk. A lot of people get right into doing more dramatic things with their horses when they lunge them in the round pen. I like to free lunge them. I've done a lot of work on lines with these fillies, just, 14-foot lines to get them softened up, to get them responsive, to get them to where they'll give and bend a bit. But I don't like to do a lot of round pen work on horses before about now. They're just learning. This is probably her 6th lesson. So that wasn't really asked for, but I'm not troubled that she did trot off. But I'm not going to ask her to keep trotting. I'm going to let her blend back into a walk when she's ready. And then I'm going to reverse her, and we're going to walk her the other way. Now, she has a tendency to overreact when she turns. That was pretty good. Just a few days ago, every time she'd turn, she'd buck, fart, and jump in the air. And I don't know whether it was stress or trying too hard or goofing around, but it was a real extreme response. Now, why am I doing this now? Now, so you can make a big mistake stepping in front of them and jamming them into the fence. She has a preference for going to the right. So I'm just going to remind her that there are 2 different directions. And I have no idea what I was talking about. So we're starting these fillies now in the round pen, because we will put the first several rods on them out here in the round pen. You can see she'd like to double back, and that's something I want to take out of her. And I want them going around real even, real smooth, real quiet in the round pen. Pretty soon with the saddle on their back, so that when we ride them, it's just more of the same. Move around the round pen, go forward, relax. Nothing new or challenging other than having a rider on their back, which is plenty enough. So I'm going to turn her in, and we're going to trot off the other way. Now, one of the things you certainly look at is, what does a filly look like? Well, it's a little hard without perspective to see, but this filly's quite tall. for her breeding as a quarter horse, as a relatively young 2-year-old, she's a solid 15.2. I've got her weight about where I want it. Some people would say, well, you can see a little bit of rib sometimes. Amen. I'm fine with that, especially with one that's growing kind of rapidly like she has. I don't want them toting that extra weight. People worry about riding them and putting weight on their back. Meanwhile, they've got their horse 200 pounds overweight. That's not logical. So I'm just letting her move around, and you can observe her movement. To me, she doesn't trot like the typical quarter horse. She reaches out and goes somewhere, and I think is a horse that could learn to do a true extension, which is kind of cool. I like her balance. I like her overall look. Let's see if we can bring her down to a stop. She may reverse. There you go. So I'm trying to build some responsiveness, but also some calmness and patience into her doing these things, so that when we do get to riding her, she's already got those kind of responses in place. Now, she much prefers that direction, and she's pretty slick about doubling back. And that's not what you want when you start riding her. You don't want her to have a big, strong preference that she pulls out of her hat when you least expect it. So we'll do enough work with her that that's kind of ironed out. A couple days ago, she was going all different speeds. She was carrying her head high and shaking it around, just kind of troubled by the process, very unsure. Now she's catching on pretty well, and what I'm not going to do is grind on her with these things. So I'm going to see if we can stop her there. And she kind of overdid, but that's okay. That's okay. So I'd like to take her back that other way. You'll notice, as most folks do, I like her to turn to the inside. That was a little bit of a challenge with her, but not too bad. Now I'm going to let her canter or lope. You can form some impressions about her way of moving at that gait. So she certainly doesn't move like a little horse. She's not a little horse. She's got some stride. But if you watch where she puts her hind legs, they're up underneath her every stride, and that I like. That's the mark of an athlete, regardless. She stumbled and that spooked her. Regardless of what their discipline is going to be, the good horses. See, I was a little more aggressive with her there because that looked a little bit like pulling a knife. So you'll see she's picking up her leads. She's also holding her leads, and that's good. You'll see a lot of horses that will be a little unstable and change out behind, and she's not doing that. But she is doing that. Now this is a test that you can see she managed to change that lead, but it took her a few strides. Her sister is deadly. Very good lead changer by nature. I'll let her stand there for a minute and blow and think. See, her mind is starting to speed, and she'll do that. She needs to sort of get herself sorted out to where she's not trying to outrun the world. Trying to outrun the world is not unnatural to this mare. She's pretty deeply race bred. Something that I've never avoided. I think that the running horses give you a different kind of athleticism, but athleticism nonetheless. And unlike a lot of folks that shy away from them because they're afraid of their disposition, I think if you pick the right horse and the right strain of quarter horse racehorse, you're going to have a pretty nice horse. Plus, her father was a race bred horse who became a very good heading horse, qualified for the Quarter Horse World Show. Her mother was a Laughing Boy bred mare by a son of Flitbar. So that's pretty much racehorse and, more importantly, rodeo royalty. And rodeo horses are durable. They can do things. And they're not just straight line runners. So what I'm not doing is making her go and go and go, because this filly would go. And you can see she's got her nose opened up a bit. It's a hot day. I have no interest in working her until she's dripping sweat and her sides are heaving. Not long ago, I went to a demonstration by a very well-regarded clinician. Was going to start a 2-year-old, and I watched him work this 2-year-old very effectively, but very excessively, and basically worked her into the dirt. And I think if you do that, you risk physical damage, and you also take away their joy in life. And you need that. If you're going to have brilliance, if you're going to have a horse you can show, you don't want a horse that's just a robot. You want one that still has their mind and spirit on your team, but still completely intact. So those are some thoughts on what I'm seeing with this young horse. She needs a few more sessions. We'll start saddling her, and in due course, we'll be on her back. Hang around, and as soon as she's better, we'll have a video up of her half-sister, who is strikingly different from her. She looks like a little cow horse because on the bottom side she is very strongly cow bred. She's by or out of a granddaughter of Colonel Freckles, but out of the same big race bred rodeo horse that this girl is. But very different, very different. This one's 15.2, the other filly's just about 14.3, almost a full hand smaller. You would never pick them out as close relations in the pasture, although personality-wise, they're fairly similar. So that's a long ramble on tinkering with a 2-year-old, getting them ready for the next step in life. I'm not in a hurry, but I do want to be thorough. Come along with us, and in a few months, you'll see the first rides on both these babies, barring anything unexpected. Till then, we'll have some interim episodes for you. See you then.